Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming OCS exams happening in May 2024. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So this is the final workshop which we are conducting. As I've promised, I said that we will be conducting a workshop two or 3 days before your exam. So that's exactly what you can experience right now. So looking at the session plan, I'm going to highlight what you need to do to maintain a high level of positivity, because as per the CIMA examiner, if you are positive about your skill set, if you're confident about what you have covered when preparing for this exam, chances of you passing your OCS exam is extremely high. So with that in mind, I will be highlighting what you need to do to maintain the same level of confidence or positivity at your real exam. And on top of that, at the very end, I'll be opening up for a Q&A session, just like what we have encountered throughout this webinar and workshop series. Okay, so when it comes to maintaining confidence on the day of the exam, what are you expected to do? So before the exam, you are expected to rest your mind and body. So that's exactly why I've asked you to take a break a day before your examination. So for instance, if you are attempting your exam on the 8th of May, you have to stop all your preparations by the 6th, and you have to allocate the 7th of May or one single day before your exam as a rest day, because as per the CIMA examiner, you are expected to play the role of a finance officer, and the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, if you are to be successful, then you have to be rested. So you might have gone through extreme levels of stress when preparing for this exam within a short span of time. Within just 6 weeks, you would have attempted the 5 mock exams, referred to various study material and whatnot. However, a day before your exam, you need to rest, because you need to walk into your exam with an open mindset or an open attitude. If so, you will end up coming up with the best type of answers. So you are not expected to refer to any study material, mocks or answer plans on the day of the exam and a day before the exam. Because if you try to refer to any study material, especially if you try to refer to the mock exams, you will try to come up with the same type of answers which you referred to when developing your developing your answers at your real examination. So rather than trying to replicate the answers which you have gone through by attempting the mock exams, your real focus should be to consider the information presented in each scenario, and based on these information, develop your answers. If so, you will come up with answers which are totally aligned with what's highlighted within each scenario, and you'd come up with answers which are totally aligned with each and every requirement. So with that in mind, you are expected to rest a day before the exam. And a day before the exam, start thinking that you are the finance officer at Kanann. If so, it makes your life easy, because if you think that you are actually the finance officer, if you think that you are really playing this role, then you'd come up with the best type of answers, because it's as if you are reporting to your finance manager. So whenever you are reporting to your superior, you will definitely try to come up with the best type of evaluations, best type of suggestions, or in other terms, the best type of answers. So if you provide high quality answers, chances of you passing is extremely high. So that's exactly why you need to think that you're the finance officer at Kanann. And it's usual for any type of student to feel some type of negativity. You will think about shortcomings which you have experienced when preparing for this exam. And on top of that, students tend to think, have I done enough when it comes to preparations? Have I missed out on any elements? There's absolutely no point of thinking about the past. Instead, you have to focus on what happens at present. So if you are positive, as I mentioned earlier, as per what's highlighted by the CIMA examiner, chances of you passing is extremely high. On the other hand, if you doubt your skill set, if you doubt the quality of your preparations, then this doubt will lead to a situation where you would come up with half-hearted answers, and you will always run out of time. You'd screw up your answering technique if you doubt your skill set, if you doubt your knowledge. So rather than doubting yourself, it's best that you let go of any negativity. It's quite normal for you to feel negative. That's totally fine. Whenever you feel negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework, that you have done what's necessary, and always remind yourself that you are expected to play the role of a finance officer. And as a finance officer, it's just a matter of considering information presented in each scenario when developing your answer. So if you focus on replicating the same type of answering and time management techniques which you have practiced when attempting your mock exams, if you replicate the same methodology at your real exam, you will definitely pass without any issues. So let go of any negativity. Instead, it's better to be confident, better to forget about what you have missed. Rather than that, focus on what's at hand, that is to walk into your exam with a positive mindset. And it's best to be open minded. You have to be open for any type of question which is thrown at you. I know for a fact that most students, if you are, especially if you are doing your exam on the second or the third day, you will try to get in touch with other students who had already completed their exams, in order to gain an understanding about the variants which were tested at their examination, rather than trying to predict what's going to happen at your exam, or the type of answers which are going to type of questions rather which are going to be thrown at you at your real exam. It's best that you walk into the exam with an open mind, because as I mentioned earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. In a real life corporate environment, it's as if you are walking into office. Until you open your laptop or switch on your computer, you are not conversant about what type of emails you have received. So you cannot predict what type of issues your company is facing, or what type of an opportunity your company is trying to exploit in the future. Instead, it's best that you are ready for anything. So don't get in touch with students to get to know what type of questions were tested in their variants, because it makes no sense. There's absolutely no way to make sure that the same variants will be thrown at you at your real exam. Instead, be open-minded, because if you focus on these deflections, then chances of you passing becomes extremely low. So instead, it's best to believe in yourself, believe in your skill set, believe in what you have put in when it comes to preparations, and avoid all these deflections. Don't try to predict what the type of questions which are going to be tested at the exam. You are not in a position to do it. This is a highly competitive exam. That's exactly why there are 6 different variants, and there's absolutely no way that you'd get a variant which someone else received. So because of that, be open-minded, and whenever you feel negative, try to overcome this negativity by reminding yourself that you have done your homework. And during the exam, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to, if you are positive before the exam, it makes it easy to be positive on the day of the exam or during the exam as well. So if you are positive a day before the exam, it's best to maintain the same level of confidence or positivity when attempting your real exam. So in order to be positive and confident throughout the paper, it's best to stick to the exam technique routine. So, as what I've highlighted throughout these webinar and workshop series, in the third webinar specifically, I mentioned, an answering technique where you are supposed to allocate 5 minutes to read through the scenario. Then you need to allocate something like 20 minutes to develop the answer plan, and the remaining time at your disposal should be allocated towards expanding the points which you have highlighted within your answer plan. So that's the best way to structure your answers. That's the best way to make sure that you consider everything which is highlighted within the scenario, as well as you bring in appropriate theoretical knowledge, thereby gaining marks for application. So since you have practiced these techniques already, answering and time management techniques, replicate the same methodologies at your real exam. So if you stick to the exam technique routine, then you are making use of the skill set which you have gained by conducting preparations across 6 weeks. And although you are, supposed to replicate the same, time management and answering technique, you will definitely feel stressed at the exam, because it's not easy to sit in one place and be exposed to exam stress 3 hours at a stretch. And additionally, if you think about how our brain functions, our attention span is just 45 minutes. So when our attention span is 45 minutes, in when you're doing your job, after 45 minutes, you can easily take a break. However, you can't do this at your real exam. So it's not easy to sit in one place and be exposed to exam stress, keep replicating the answering and time management techniques 4 times over. So definitely, usually halfway through the exam, you will experience exam stress and fatigue. So whenever you are experiencing fatigue or stress, it's best to drink some water, because it helps to calm your nerves when you are hydrating yourself. So keep yourself hydrated whenever you are exposed to some type of stress. And on top of that, it's best that you close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes. I highlighted these elements in the fourth webinar exam prep as well. I said that when attempting mock exams, whenever you experience exam stress, what you need to do is you need to close your eyes and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. You might think that you are wasting your time, which is not the case. You are actually gaining time if you are in a position to manage your exam stress. So what happens when you are exposed to stress is you are expected to utilize your prefrontal cortex. Our brain is divided into three main parts. So the front part is known as the prefrontal cortex. So if you are to come up with the best type of answers or solutions, then you have to be involved with rational decision making. So when it comes to rational decision making or rational thinking, your prefrontal cortex should work. However, when you are experiencing stress, your prefrontal cortex switches off. Instead, there's an extremely small part of our brain which is known as the amygdala. I highlighted these elements in the fourth webinar as well. So your prefrontal cortex will switch off and your amygdala will start functioning. When the amygdala starts functioning, our brain will be exposed to a fight or flight response or a stress response. So when the amygdala is in play, you'd feel an adrenaline rush. So because of that, you'd try to come up with rushed answers, because your brain is asking you to get rid of the stress as fast as possible. And the only way to get rid of the stress, exam stress, is to complete the exam as fast as possible. Whereas you are supposed to utilize your time to the fullest rather than trying to come up with rushed answers. So whenever you experience exam stress, always remind yourself that it's not your prefrontal cortex which is in play. Instead, it's your amygdala. So you need to take steps to switch off your amygdala. If not, you are not in a position to manage your exam stress. Because usually, if you had done your exams previously, or if you had attempted your mock exams under exam conditions, you would have encountered this. When you are exposed to extreme levels of stress, you encounter something called brain freeze. When you are exposed to brain freeze, you cannot think anything. Even if you're trying to read through the scenario, nothing goes into your head. Even if you're trying to develop your answer plans, nothing goes into your head. And on top of, you can't think properly. And on top of that, even when you have an answer plan at your disposal, when it comes to expanding the answer, it's just a matter of explaining each and every point which you have highlighted within the answer plan. You can't get it done when you are exposed to brain freeze. So that's your amygdala working. So in order to get out of this inefficiency, what you need to do is you need to focus on your breathing. That's the only way to switch off your amygdala. So close your eyes and breathe for 2 minutes. Inhale from your nose, exhale from your mouth. And whenever you are doing this, focus on the entry and exit points. So focus on the tip of your nose when inhaling and focus on the tip of your lips when exhaling. Do this for 2 minutes, then your amygdala will switch off. Then you would be headed in the correct direction once more. So some and most of the students who are conversant with this technique, what they usually do is, since our attention span, look, if you look at a human brain, as I mentioned earlier, our attention span is just for 45 minutes. So because of this fact, most students, after attempting each task, they take a 2-minute break. So when the first 45 minutes are done, before reading through the question or the scenario and developing an answer plan, students tend to take a 2-minute break and focus on their breathing by closing their eyes. Then it's as if you are refreshing your brain whenever you are utilizing a computer. When the computer gets stuck, you'd refresh it. So when you are experiencing such a scenario, in order to refresh your brain, you need to focus on your breathing. So if you practice this, just like what you have done when practicing the mock exams, if you implement the same techniques at your real exam, then you are in a position to take control of your brain. If so, you can easily pass this exam because you have already conducted your preparations appropriately. So close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes whenever you are exposed to exam stress, or after each task or after each section, take a break of 2 minutes. And within these 2 minutes, you are expected to again close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes, focusing on your inhaling and exhaling. If so, it's as if you are refreshing your brain before attempting each and every task. That's the best way to ensure that you develop high quality answers, and at the same time you manage your time, because this exam, half of this exam is all about managing stress. The examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stress. If not, you are not fit to play the role of a finance officer. You are not fit to move on to MCS and play the role of a finance manager. So in order to make sure that you manage your stress, practice these elements. I've highlighted these. I asked you to practice them when attempting each of your mock exams. I expect you to do the same at your real exam as well. And whenever you feel down or negative, remind yourself that you have done your homework. Out of the 4 tasks, in each task, you'd see 2 or 3 subtasks. So let's assume in task number 1, there are 3 subtasks. Out of the 3 subtasks, you are totally conversant with 2, but you encounter a subtask which you have not seen before. If you had attempted TCS's mock exams, you're not going to encounter such a situation. Sometimes you might not remember. There could be a question about working capital management. Although you have done a mock exam based on working capital management, at your real exam, you cannot remember which elements to focus on when developing your answer. So just because one of the subtasks, just because you are not conversant with the answers you are expected to provide for one of the subtasks, do not screw up your entire exam. Keep moving forward. So out of the 3 subtasks, if you know the answers for 2 subtasks, and if you're clueless about one single subtask, don't worry about it. That subtask is there with a purpose. The examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of encountering a stressful situation and whether you are capable of overcoming the stress, forget about the stress, and move forward in your exam. So in your first 2 requirements, out of the 4 tasks, in the first 2 requirements, you will encounter extremely hard questions, or you will encounter a situation where you know the answer, but you cannot come up with answers because you cannot remember what to focus on. That's totally fine. Your role is to keep moving forward, because always remember, out of 150 marks, you just need 80 to pass. So even if you screw up 2 or 3 subtasks, you still can, easily pass the exam if you manage your stress appropriately, if you keep moving forward on a continuous basis. So remind yourself that you have done your homework, and remind yourself that you need just 80 marks to pass. We are not here to get a world prize or a national prize. Instead, your objective is to gain 80 or more. So even if you screw up 2 or 3 subtasks, always remind yourself, okay, this is totally fine. I still can pass as long as I keep moving forward, as long as I stick to the answering and time management techniques, which I've practiced when attempting each of the 5 mock exams. And at the exam, give your best shot. If you think that you are the finance officer of the company, you'd always try to give your best shot. And it's best to be open-minded. You'd be you're narrow-minded if you try to focus on predictions or variants which were tested when you communicate with other students, they'll tell you about the variants which were tested at their exams. You're not expected to listen to them because they themselves are students just like you. Instead, you should focus on the preparations which you have conducted so far in the last 6 weeks. So don't deviate from your exam preparation or your exam strategy. Instead, focus on getting these elements right. So first things first, stick to the exam technique routine, which is to allocate 5 minutes to read through the scenario, 15 to 20 minutes to develop the answer plan. And once you have an answer plan at your disposal, taking up the remaining time, you are expected to expand your answer plan. And whenever you feel stressed, drink some water, close your eyes and breathe for 2 minutes. I don't mind even if you close your eyes and breathe for 2 minutes after each and every task, after 45 minutes on a continuous basis. And remind yourself that you have done your homework and you just need 80 marks to pass. If you adhere or if you implement these techniques, adhere to these techniques, and if you try to give your best shot, then your chances of passing the OCS exam is extremely high. So don't doubt yourself, because if you do, you'd have to repeat this exam. The examiner is actually testing whether you are doubting your skill set, because you can be the best student out there, but if you doubt yourself, you won't perform properly. So if you look at sportmen out there, looking at someone, a champion like Usain Bolt does all the hard work, but if he doubts himself on the day of the heat or a final, then he's not in a position, he's not in a good mindset, which will ensure a gold medal. So in order to make sure that you pass this exam, you have to be positive, believe in yourself, believe in your skill set. Do not listen to what others have to say, because everything's under your control. And whenever you experience stress at the exam, do everything which is under your control to manage it. You now know what to do. If you had, attended our webinar series, you would have learned these things 2 or 3 weeks before. So implement these techniques to make sure that you complete the exam, you make use of the full 3 hours for your benefit, because even if you skip 2 or 3 subtasks, you still can pass your OCS exam. All right, so by listening to these techniques, our students had gained extremely good marks last time as well. 6 of our students got more than 100 marks when the pass mark is just 80. 6 of our students got more than 100 simply by replicating the same answering and time management techniques which they have practiced when attempting their mock exams. And on top of that, these students who gained more than 100 marks, or the students who got national prizes, they themselves, when I got through to them after their exams, they themselves said that they were exposed to extreme levels of stress. Some of them said they were shivering out of fear, because whenever you see a subtask which you are not too comfortable with, you'd go into panic mode. Panic leads to brain freeze, but by focusing on breathing, they were able to overcome their fears and keep moving forward. Because if you keep moving forward, for instance, this student who got 103 marks last time, these individuals screwed up 2 of the subtasks. The weightage of one of the subtasks was 60% and the other was 30%. So this student was not too sure about passing the exam. After the exam, this individual was gutted and was saying that I might have to claim the pass guarantee, but ended up getting 103. So even if you screw up 2 or 3 subtasks, you still can pass. You still can get more than 100 marks easily if you stick to the techniques which we highlighted within this workshop and in the previous webinars and workshops as well. All right, so having said that, it brings us to the second part of today's webinar, or workshop rather. If you have questions, you can raise your concerns and questions now. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, seems like there aren't any more questions. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, You can email us on info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number. And I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of this workshop will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And on top of that, via TikTok, you'd gain access to a good mind map, which covers the entire pre-scene document within just 5 to 7 minutes. So in these final days of preparation, keep watching these 3 TikTok videos on a daily basis on a continuous manner, so that you keep memorizing what's highlighted within the pre-scene document, which is going to be extremely beneficial for you when conducting your preparations. So make use of these free resources which we offer to your fullest benefit. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the webinar and workshop series which we have conducted in lieu of the upcoming exams happening in May. I hope you gain something out of these weekly webinars and workshops which we have conducted. We have conducted 4 webinars and 3 workshops spread across 7 weeks. I hope you gained something out of these sessions, and I wish you all the very best in your upcoming exam. Be confident. You will feel gutted leading up to the exam. That's totally fine. Even I, as a student, encountered these issues, but I've also shared tips to overcome these issues. Focus on your breathing. Be confident. Believe in yourself. And whenever you feel negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework and you just need 80 marks to pass this exam. So all the very best. If you need any help in the upcoming 2 or 3 days, make sure to get in touch with us. All the best, and I hope to see you guys at MCS. Thank you and take care.